and we're talking black badges, and they're a bit of a trend at the moment.
They're definitely on trend at the moment, Adam. It's a very popular product to use at the moment in automotive. Traditionally, badges have been in bright chrome, and most mainstream badges still are in bright chrome. But we see an increasing demand for black badging for limited editions, special editions, and even luxury editions, because the black badging suits sports and limited vehicle builds, but it also suits a luxury brand as well. So we're seeing it becoming very, very popular and in very high demand. We've done several programs recently, and we've got some brand new ones on the go at the moment too. So it looks like it's going to be here for a little while.
And they can vary quite wildly in the way they look and the look and feel. Even though they're all black, they can still vary quite widely. How do they vary, and what type of variants do we have?
There's a couple of things that you've got to really look at. And one is gloss level. That is probably the most important consideration when looking at doing a black badge program. And obviously gloss can be anything from full gloss all the way to dead matte. And there's a range of matte levels and satin finishes in between. So it is something that a bit of thought has got to be put into on exactly what you want the badge to do and how you want it to look on the back of the vehicle. So there's a fair bit to do on that. A gloss badge, for example, gloss black badge doesn't necessarily transition all that well into a gloss dark color. It can be lost. So we tend to then recommend we use a matte or a satin finish on it. And if a customer wants to go down that path, which is very popular, the matte badging, matte black is very popular, then that creates the second level of consideration. And that is, of course, that a matte finish on anything absorbs light. It doesn't reflect it. So there's an opportunity there to do something a little bit different with the surface design, because you still can get it to cast shadows or reflect a little bit of light. But so you've got to take that into consideration too if a customer wants something that's dead flat or a very matte finish.
The process to actually get that finish, is it straightforward? Is it complex? Is it hard to do?
I'll tell you what we do to get a matte finish, for example. It sounds fairly simple, and we have a matting powder that actually goes into the color, into the either the clear overprint or black. And that sounds simple. Just drop some matting powder in there and away you go. Where it gets complex is getting the ratio correct. Because if you put a small amount of matting powder into your finish, then you'll get a slightly off gloss result. The more matting powder you put in there, the more matte finish you get. But you've got to be careful you don't overload the pigment, overload the ink, and overload the color, because you'll get to the point where it becomes quite difficult to work with. It can get a bit chalky. And obviously you have a finish there that is, apart from not that great to look at, can pose some durability issues. So you do have to get that balance correct. And that can be tricky at times.
Is it similar when you're going for a gloss rather than a matte? Are there particular things you need to be careful about?
Not really. I mean, we add color to our Lunachrome badge process with the screen printing process. And so naturally all inks are gloss. So straight out of the can, or if we mix to a particular color, they will always lay down in a gloss finish on top of our Lunachrome part. So it only becomes tricky and difficult when we're adding the matting powder to it. The only proviso to that is that we've got to make sure that we're laying down the correct thickness of ink, whether it be gloss or matte. So that's probably the only proviso. But really, gloss is pretty much straight out of the can, straight out of the mix. And depending on the level of matte finish, you can, as I mentioned before, impact on durability. So it was particularly with abrasion. So we've done testing here to automotive standards with our matte finishes to make sure that they still do comply to the automotive requirements for abrasion particularly, but also for accelerated weathering.
What do you have to do there to maintain that durability or gain that durability out of the badge?
Well, again, it's getting that balance right between getting the matte finish that the customer requires and making sure that you don't over matte the product, and then also making sure that you're putting down the ink in the correct thickness, and you can vary that considerably. So we've got to make sure we control that. In addition to that, we also put a clear over the top of all our coloured Lunachrome badges to a clear ink, and that will be matted off or glossed depending on the finish the customer wants for. So that adds some additional abrasion and environmental durability as well. So none of our automotive badges in Lunachrome are sold or manufactured without the clear overprint.
Can you give us some examples of those badges or where you use them and what type of things they're used in?
They're typically used for special editions or limited editions. And we've done a range of products in that sort of space for various automotive companies over the journey, and household name type products. I mean, we're doing it for Toyota and Isuzu Ute, and we've done it for some of the vehicle upfitters like Walkinshaw and Premcar, people like that. So it's a common thing to do. We've done it for some of the imported vehicles like Subaru and Hyundai and Kia. Kia do a black badge pack that you can get from your dealerships now as a dealer fit accessory. We make that for Kia here in Australia. So it could be either fitted as a limited edition, or it could also be a dealer fit accessory as you purchase a new car.
Can you give us some examples of those badges or where you use them and what type of things they're used in?
So there's two years we just released a new D-Max or a limited edition D-Max, and we were contracted to replace all the factory badging with a matte black version. And you can see there what's happening with the surface preparation. So even though it's a matte finish, you can see how it can throw shadows, and also you reflect a little bit of light. So if we'd gone even matte than that, you would have lost that effect. So that's getting the finish right so that it still looks factory fitted and it follows the same contour and does the same thing. Obviously a bright chrome badge, it's bright, it's chrome, it reflects light incredibly well. So so matte finishes play with light completely differently. Yeah, so that's a good example of vehicles on sale. That's a good example of what a matte badge can look like. And on the back of the vehicle, it looks really quite remarkable. And matte badging works well on dark colors as well as on light colors. Whereas you find a gloss black finish doesn't work that well on black colors, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So they can put this on pretty much any color car, whereas a gloss black badge, you wouldn't put that on a black car, for instance, because you just wouldn't see it. It becomes almost invisible on the back of it.
There are different variations of black as well.
This one here. So that's actually got sort of two different colors on it. People sort of think black is black, and in a lot of instances it is. But when it comes to what we do here, there's all various grades of blacks from dark charcoal all the way through to just a dead matte. And this is a black background badge, and it's got a different sort of charcoal black coal finish. It's actually called Ashcraft, which is probably a good description that goes on the badge as well. So you get some contrast there, not only contrasting with the different layers and different levels within the badge, but you're getting some contrast there with the color as well. Range of things that set us apart, and one is our design capability. So we can assist right from the very start of a program from a design perspective. If a customer's not quite sure or doesn't have the capability these days to do the design themselves or develop the CAD themselves, we can do that all in house for them, and we can steer them down the right design path. So that's obviously number one. Number two, we've got our Lunachrome process, which is a fully validated automotive tested and approved process that can replicate factory badges. We don't necessarily have to copy factory badges. Sometimes they want a new word on the other side of the back of the vehicle, but we've got to design the font to match the factory font that comes out of either Europe or Asia or North America. So we can obviously do that as well. So Lunachrome, it's got an enormous amount of flexibility enabling us to do that. We do all our tooling in-house, so we control the process from go to woe. And obviously, the colors that we can add and the matte levels that we can do, it's only limited by our customers' imagination, really. So, but I guess overall, the thing that we do well is that we do everything in-house. We just don't outsource anything if we can avoid it, and particularly with our automotive badging, it's all done in-house from tooling, design, CAD, production, printing, assembly, templates, and then final delivery, either one single drop or into the port of entries or in Australia. We can do either or.
Would you do this black badging outside of automotive?
No, we do it certainly for outside automotive. We've done it for marine. We've also done it for a couple of caravan manufacturers that wanted something other than bright chrome for a different look, particularly sort of off-road, outback type campers and caravans. They're looking for more of a dark sort of appearance. So they're often black caravans and darker designs. So they don't want a bright chrome badge on them. So, we've done it for that industry. And as mentioned before, done it for marine. And we can do it for pretty much any in the industry that's looking for that type of look, which might suit their image or might suit their product or the market that it's moving into. And it might not be sport. A lot of what I've shown you here is sport and off-road and RV recreational type products and vehicles. It could be a luxury vehicle too. Most marketers will tell you black is a very luxurious color. It's often attached to luxury brands. They often like black because it conjures that overall luxury image. So it can quite easily be used on a luxury product as
I
well.
think we've all been very impressed with the type of black badging that you guys have been producing. And I think obviously your customers are as well.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got a world of experience when it comes to adding color and doing different things with badging on the back of the car. And as you highlighted right at the very start, the black badging is very on trend at the moment. That's what everyone's looking for. And we're certainly well experienced in being able to deliver that.